Back here at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago is Shekar Narasimhan, the co-founder of the AAPI Victory Fund. Shekar, you've been involved in party politics for some time now, but this is the first time that either one of us has been exposed to an Indian American at the top of a presidential ticket. It's a historic time, whether you agree with her policies or not. Just give me some perspective about how this all happened from your vantage point, because I know you have inside baseball conversations.
Inside baseball, she's the best qualified, the most competent, and to give her credit, immediately after the June 27th debate, did the most forceful, vehement, and substantive defense of President Joe Biden. I frankly think that was instinctive. It was the right thing to do. She's not only loyal, but she understands what the implications of a change could look like. So when and if a change was going to happen, she was the logical successor. Her ballot name has been on the ballot for a presidential race before. She has not only won in the state of California, across the state, but she had won twice in California. So to be able to say, I'm on the ballot, people know me, people know my history. The only question mark, I think, tends to be, so what are your policies? How do they differ than the president who you served with? And I think over time you will see here, the last week already, and this is 30-day campaign. We've got 2 more months to go. So in a sprint, what you try to do is you pace yourself. There will be more discussion of policy. What I'm really proud of is how quickly and seamlessly they integrated the White House team, the Kamala Harris team, and the Joe Biden campaign. It is something to behold. It says something about Democrats, that we know what the stakes are, and when we have to pull together, by God, we know how to do that.
Now, we're speaking at the DNC, but right before the RNC, there was a poll that came out that said about 20% of Indian Americans were declining to support President Biden. Now, they didn't all go to President Trump. Only about 2 points went to President Trump, but nearly 20% said they would go independent. So what is being done? Obviously, I've seen a lot of enthusiasm for Vice President Harris from the community since this announcement, but there's certainly still a lot of folks that are skeptical. So what messaging is being done, and what kind of get out the vote outreach needs to be done over the next 2 months or so?
So first, contextually, that poll was done in May, so it was even done before the debate. It could have been possibly worse after the debate. Second, I think there has not been any recent polling. All we can tell you is what we feel, see, and hear. Now we have today talked to over 40 elected leaders across the country from our communities, and in Georgia, in Michigan, in Arizona, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania. The elected leaders on the ground who represent our community are telling us they have never seen anything like this. This enthusiasm is off the charts. In Virginia, we enrolled 10,000 new volunteers. In Pennsylvania, they enrolled 15,000. These numbers are staggering. So it's small donor donations, it's volunteer enthusiasm, it's people from our community organically organizing. I don't know how to measure that in polls. And by the way, I have a slight difference from others who want me to keep saying we should be optimistic. I am optimistic, but I'm very sober about my optimism. And what is causing me sobriety? This is going to be a close election. It was, it will be, and it is. Nothing has changed in that. Has the battleground changed? We've expanded it back to the 7 it started with. The 3 have still got to be 1. So when things don't fundamentally change on the ground, you have to make them change. Her position on the ballot makes it change. The enthusiasm gap has completely gone away. Trump had about 80% of the Republicans saying, I'm going to vote for you. Biden had about 55. It's 85% for Kamala Harris. Okay, made progress. If you start to think about every measurement standard for how you measure a candidate and their momentum, think this is Kamala momentum. It's Tim Walz's momentum. When Tim Walz walked into the AAPI caucus yesterday, he spoke in Mandarin. Yeah, we did tell him, hey, a couple of words in Hindi will go a long way. A couple of words in Korean, my God, you never know. You could win Wisconsin with a couple of words in Hmong. He said, happy to learn. This is a very different ticket. This ticket exudes joy, youth, and togetherness going forward. So I don't know why our community will not rally. You should know my target now is that we're going to add 250,000 new AAPI voters in the 7 states. And they are people who turned 18, people who have just become naturalized in the last 3 years, and those that didn't vote in 2020. There is no reason, even though Joe Biden won, all these states combined by 350,000, and he won many of these, the entire election in 3 states was 45,000, we can add 250,000 new voters. I think we can increase the turnout in the South Asian community by 25%. So we increase turnout. Does it mean people come to vote for us? Don't take it for granted. You got to do persuasion. You have to explain to them why it's important, not just why they're excited, and then how they come out. I think we have a battle plan, infrastructure, organization, the right message. Let her lay out her vision on Thursday for where she wants to take America. And the ingredients within that are connected to our community, we will splice and dice and go sell that message. I'm very confident that we can win, but we still have to do a heck of a lot of work.
And for those folks that are concerned about immigration matters, that are concerned about U.S.-India's relationship, and all the other diaspora-focused events that happen that focus, people kind of micro-target, how do you address some of those concerns? Because that's where some of that loss in support came from, that a lot of people did not feel that the community was being well served. We did see the caste discrimination laws passed in Seattle and almost in California. We've seen conflicts between the U.S. and Canada and India. Will the Harris campaign address some of this?
Probably not, because quite frankly, it's too compressed a time frame. In reality, foreign policy as an electoral issue tends to not be in the top 7 or 10 of voters' minds. They care about the economy, education, opportunity, border and immigration. So if you're asking me about immigration, top of the mind issue has to be dealt with. We have a broken system, which means that if somebody wants to legally immigrate, it is almost impossible. You are asking people to try to do something different when you have a broken system. Should we defend and protect the border and its integrity? 100%. But do you do it in a humane way or in an inhumane way? That's the tactical difference. But we need to fix our immigration system. And so that has to be on the agenda. It has to be something she speaks to. It's in the platform of the Democratic Party, and they're voting on it tonight. For the first time in 12 years, immigration reform is on the platform of the Democratic Party. That came about because Kamala Harris wants it there. So, yes, we will address many of the issues you're talking about, but I don't think we're delving into foreign policy in a 77-day election.
And will that impact, obviously, the kids that are largely upset about what's going on in the Middle East?
That's a domestic issue now. It was a foreign policy issue. It is a domestic issue. It is a domestic issue when you see the tragedy that has unfolded, first in Israel on October 7th and then in Gaza and the Palestinian refugee crisis since then. I think you just have to feel like a human being does. This is appalling. It should stop. I don't think we have any distance between her view and that of most of the people in America, which is we should stop this carnage. There should be a permanent ceasefire. We need a 2-state solution. Let's work towards that. I think there's a whole lot of things that need to happen, like a whole bunch of people on both sides agreeing to something. That is not within her control. So to the extent that she can articulate what her defined policies are, they're fundamentally not different than Biden's. I don't think it necessarily moves in any particular direction other than saying, this is America. We should have the moral high ground. So we should make sure this carnage ends. Should we do everything in our power to do that and still understand that we have a very special and unique relationship with Israel? Look what, you got to walk, chew gum, spit all at the same time, and she will manage to do that.
Shekar Narasimhan, a lot to unpack there, and certainly things are moving with each passing day. I'm fascinated to see how this goes, but congratulations on your efforts. I mean, I know with the AAPI Victory Fund, this was one of the objectives, to get an Asian American at the top of a ticket, and here we are.
And here we are, and it's therefore incumbent on us to deliver those 250,000 new votes to her so she can win, and win big enough that even though the other side, there's one man in particular who, unlike, by the way, you talked about India and politics, doesn't accept defeat if he loses. And so if he loses, he will not accept defeat again. We have to repudiate that in America. And the best way is to defeat him, and defeat him large, so that it's not even contested by those that follow and listen to him. I hope that happens. We're going to work damn hard to make it happen.
Shekar Narasimhan, thank you.